Greetings, adventure. Welcome to the D20 Academy podcast. I'm Shiloh,
I'm Gabriel,
and this is episode 37, Player Types. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. In this one, we're going to be going over various tabletop role-playing game player types, alright? If you're a player, this should help you figure out what kind of, the kind of way you play. It should help you, improve on the strengths that you have, and also to be able to kind of recognize the things that you're not so good at or some of the things that you're lacking, and, being able to kind of improve that.
If you're a GM, this should help you understand your players a bit more and be able to alter your gameplay to fit their play styles once you understand how they think and play.
Yeah, so this can be really good for players or GMs, just being able to recognize and understand different player types and how they work.
There's information in here for both parties. It can be a great episode for anyone.
Yeah. If you want to keep up to date with the things we're doing here, you have some suggestions, anything at all, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at D20_Academy. And tell the podcast to your friends and the people you play D&D with or other storytellers you know. Point them towards the podcast. It means a lot to us when we can help out other people. Anything else to say before we get started?
I think that's it. Let's get in.
All right. Okay, so there's kind of a lot
here. But just some brief overview things before we get into the different player types. A lot of this information is going to be presented in a way like all of these character types, they have positives and negatives to them. Mm-hmm. And it's your job to work with your players and your players' job to figure out your own strengths and weaknesses and try and improve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really don't, we really don't want this to become something that, you adopt so you can, hit on other players or whatever. Mm. Or, an excuse, either hey, this is the kind of player I am, so therefore I'm, that's not what this is about. This is not to make your game worse or to add more conflict within the group or anything. This is to help you guys, this is just this should be a resource to be able to help you recognize and improve. And one thing I was thinking about after we kind of outlined this episode was, not everyone is usually 100% one of these. You're probably a combination of a couple of them. Yeah, and also, even though it's much easier to think of things just in a negative light, just in general, just when you're going through these different, when we're going through these various player types, it's much easier to figure out what their weaknesses are rather than some of their strengths and stuff. Mm-hmm. But honestly, everyone in our play group, there are various combinations of these and stuff, and I think everyone in our play group is great. I think they're all great players and stuff, except for you, obviously.
No, of course, yeah.
No, but and I think they're all great players, and they're all different combinations of these, and there are definitely positive things about them. So it is much easier to just focus on the negative, but I think it's also important to focus on the positive.
It's just important to keep an open mind when you're listening to this, and if you hear something think oh, this describes me, don't say, okay, I have to be exactly this now.
Yeah, this is just to help you. This isn't to box you in.
It's a tool to figure out a little bit more about how you play.
Exactly. All right, anything else to say before we get started with this fat list of player types?
This is our opinion. Don't be mad at us.
Yeah. This is kind of just our opinion. There are some people kind of categorize player types differently, or they have kind of different terms for them. But I think we've kind of hit all the bases. We looked at other people's lists before this, and we've kind of amassed and kind of put
decent list.
And put our own kind of opinion on it. I think this generalizes basically everything. But okay, what's the first one up on the docket?
All right, so the first one is the power gamer / optimizer
/ min-maxer.
Cares mostly about being the most powerful that they can be in the system that they are playing and feeling useful in combat.
Yeah, I think me and you are power gamers a little bit.
Yeah, to an extent.
Mm-hmm. Because both of us care, in D&D at least, both of us care a lot about D&D. We've played hundreds of hours of the game. We've also done tons of research on the game and stuff.
Yeah.
We know the rules by heart and everything. And because of that, it's just kind of inevitable that you're going to try to build, a powerful character. You know what things go well together and stuff. So, yeah, I think we both have that.
It's a common tendency, I think.
Yeah.
Once you get a handle on a system to be okay, I want to be powerful.
Yeah, this is not a bad thing. We'll get into more details. The power gamer almost always picks the most optimized build possible, and also researches.
Yeah.
When they're building a character or advancing in level, they research what's the best thing they can do. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. Fits. That's kind of part of the player type.
Yeah. Things that power gamers typically don't like are problems that they can't solve with the build that they have made. Things that are outside of the scope of their strengths, and losing and not feeling like they're getting rewarded.
Yeah. A lot about, being a power gamer and stuff. Once again, this is kind of a generalized thing. Not everyone is like super narrow into one of these usually, but not getting rewarded, I think, is kind of a big one.
I think it ties into the fact of, like, if you're a power gamer, you kind of like want to feel powerful at times.
Yeah. You want to feel powerful.
And when there are moments where you feel like you're not useful at all.
Yeah. So when you're not feeling useful, that can be a little rough for you. And just losing, you've built the thing that you think is good. You've perfected your body, and you still lost. And then that's, always not super fun for a power gamer and optimizer. But there's definitely some good things about power gamers. They are usually engaged and focused, especially during combat. And they're also willing to do out-of-session work. They will research. They will build a character and care about their character. And not just come for the session, forget about it for the rest of the week. Which, that's good. Good for a player to have those tendencies.
But, the possible weaknesses of a power gamer is that they can bring unbalance to the party and to the force. And they can cause other players to feel a little bit useless, There's always the danger when you're trying to make a powerful character of overshadowing one of the other characters in the party.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure, if you're trying to be an optimizer or a power gamer, make sure that you aren't covering over someone other's niche.
Yeah, their niche. Yeah, for sure. The thing about unbalancing the party, though, a little bit inevitable. Unless your group is made of people who are all a little bit power gamer. And it's kind of a hard thing to fix, because you don't want to be like, hey, don't build the most optimized thing. Like, that's a weird thing, because now they have to go out of their way to like not do the best thing. That's a weird thing to say. And it's hard to force other players to just, like, who are probably some of the other types that we'll talk about, who don't care as much about getting into the research and caring about the rules and building the most optimized builds. And it can unbalance the party. Hopefully, this is fine with everyone. Yeah. Other people don't care too much
It's not always a problem that the party's unbalanced.
Other people don't care too much about being super powerful or being useful in combat or anything. But definitely when the optimizer can build, make their build in a way that overshadows another character, takes over their niche, their specialties, to make them feel useless. Yeah, I think that can definitely cause problems. So how do you kind of deal with a power gamer as like a GM or just someone else, just as a group? As a GM, I think posing problems they can't solve with their optimized build is pretty good. I know that's like one of the things they don't like, and you don't want to do it all the time because that irritates them. They put time and energy into building something, and if you keep going out of your way to make it so that they can't use the things they've worked hard on, that's irritating for them. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not good as a GM to be trying to trick and like beat these, these various different like player types we're talking about, to like figure out a way to like beat them and hit at their weaknesses and stuff. I don't. That's not what this is about. But doing that can help balance the party out a bit more.
It can give other characters time to shine where they might not necessarily have the opportunity to. So it's all about balancing when you let them have their moment and when you say like, hey, like this is an encounter that you probably can't solve using this thing.
Yeah.
Let this other character.
Yeah, creating situations where the other party members can shine and go in like their niche, also great. But yeah, letting the power gamer feel awesome and useful every once in a while. Doesn't have to be every combat and stuff. And for me as a GM, we had a player in our last campaign who was very much large percentage power gamer optimizer. And it irritated me a little bit as a DM when I was in combat and stuff. They were so good, and it was like very hard to like kill them and stuff. Designing an encounter that could be challenging to them and stuff, but also not wipe out the other party members who aren't as strong and stuff. And it irritated me a lot as a player, and that was something that I needed to take a different mindset on. As a DM, I needed to change my mindset of like, this person, they've built the best build or whatever. I need to try to fight back against them and really be like, hey, you can't be this good or whatever. I need to change my mindset to be like, this is just how they play. This is the same for all these player types, really. This is just how their minds work and stuff. It's not their fault. If they're, not going out of their way to, like, irritate you as a DM, that's bad. But, be able to change their mindset and, like, just allow them to feel awesome and be useful every once in a while. I think that's important.
All right, moving on. Next one's the casual. No?
You skipped one.
I did skip one. The role player / actor.
Yeah.
They care mostly about creating and playing interesting and realistic characters with accents, performing, getting into character, doing all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Both of us fall into this category as well. I would say I'm pretty heavily this. A large percentage of me is this for sure.
All of your characters have accents.
Yeah. I love accents. And like as a DM, I live through my NPCs, as performers.
Vicariously, yeah.
I am, an actor. I love theater and film, and stuff. So those are the tendencies. Those are the things that I love. I love the fact, like, role-playing is one of my favorite things in D&D, or, just in role-playing games. Accents, performing, showing off my cool character and my cool accent and all that kind of thing.
Kind of the same for me. Like, if I'm playing a character, I want to, like, not just experience how they are in combat, but experience how they are in, like, the situations. I want to get into it and have fun as that character.
Yeah, for sure. So
you get into the acting and role-playing of it.
So they almost always write a long-ass backstory, and then they... Oh, let me note about this, too. Yes, this is not true, but most of these people who fall into this category write big backstories. Because they care about their character, and, they care about their personality and all that kind of stuff. And that all stems from a backstory, so they will take time to write a backstory. Sometimes too long. Like, all the times I've been a PC, I've written a long backstory.
Yeah.
Intricate, detailed backstory. Because, that's why, character, a lot of what characters and their motivations, all that kind of stuff, stem from a backstory. And they build their stats around the character concept. So this is the opposite of a power gamer. Power gamers are like, how do I be strong? Let me build my character around my stats, around these, whatever, features and stuff.
So where an actor's more like, okay, I think for this character it makes sense for him to have, 14 in charisma, even though that might not be optimized for my build and for my class.
Yeah.
But it's what the character would
have.
Yeah,
it's the, like, usually it mirrors, their ability scores totally mirror their character. If they have low charisma, they're socially awkward. If they have low wisdom, they're bad at decision-making and stuff. They typically but they're totally okay with low ability scores. They don't care a ton about having high ability scores in the aspects that their class needs to. So this also means, like, they usually don't choose a race because of the class.
Yeah.
That gives ability boost to their class. They choose a race because it's a cool race and fits the character they want to play. They want to play this race, and they also want to play this class because it fits this cool character idea they have. So they build their stats around the character concept.
Right. Things they don't like. Like long, drawn-out encounters that they can't act and perform in.
Yeah.
Where they don't get to characterize much. Putting the rules of the game before the story. That's an interesting one. Where you can kind of come in conflict with the other character types that we're talking about here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just about, like, they don't like it when they feel like the rules of the game are getting in the way of, this is what the character should do at this point. Like, this is what's, like, why are the rules, the nitty-gritty of the rules, stopping the character from doing what it should be doing?
So the first one, like, they don't like long drawn-out encounters, they can't perform and stuff. For me, because I'm pretty, like I said, majority of me is role-player actor, but I'm also a little bit power gamer, so I actually do I do enjoy combat and being cool in combat and stuff. But it is true. When I can't, like, quip and stuff during the combat and, like, talk to the enemy or whatever, that's a little irritating. And this last one is pretty important.
Having to act off of bland, uninteresting characters, whether they be PCs or NPCs.
Yeah. This is a rough one for an actor. When they can't act off of other interesting characters.
Yeah, it's the same as in theater.
Yeah.
If, like, the person you're acting with isn't interesting, they aren't, like, doing their part or trying their best, it's just really hard to...
Yeah. And we could do a whole episode of, like, acting and theater stuff or whatever, but Yes, when you have the person you're acting off of, when they're bland, uninteresting and stuff, that can really hamper your performance. And it's definitely rough when it's a PC. Actually, I think it's more rough when it's NPC, because that means the DM is, like all the NPCs you encounter you can't have. Anyway.
All right, strengths of a role player / actor. They're often very committed to role playing and being very engaged in the world and in their character. They're all about playing the part, knowing what they're doing, knowing who the character is. Really great characteristics.
Yes, if you're a GM, you want one of these in your group. Like, every time, these are treasures. As I was reading on one forum, it was like, it's very hard to find these people because, like, if they are, like too nerdy, like not enough role player or whatever, then they play. But if they like are actually good actors and stuff, then they're not actually playing like D&D. But this is a great archetype for a player. They are usually really engaged in the story and the world. They spend time. They care about writing a backstory. They care about your story. So they're cool, but not all the time. Some of their weaknesses is they also don't care enough about the exact rules of the game.
I think a great example of this might be like Marisha Ray from Critical Roles. What I was thinking of when we were writing the outline for this. As a voice actor, she's very involved in her character.
Yeah.
She roleplays really
great
well.
Great actress, super consistent characters. Yeah.
Super consistent character. But I think, and you can see this as you're listening to the show, like throughout the season, she can be like always asking for rules references just because it's the non.
Yeah, she's definitely not in the rules. Yes, I think that's a great example.
And that isn't always a big problem. Or big weakness, but it can be annoying, can get on other people's nerves.
Yeah, and even their nerves. Because, sometimes it does irritate her when she just tries something and nothing happens and it's not fulfilling because she just isn't super familiar with the rules enough. But also, like, as a DM, you don't just want to, like, give them passes and stuff as well, so it's kind of a hard situation.
They also might hold back the party and comment because of their build. Of like, oh, I think my character is really good in social encounters, but you're a fighter and you didn't put anything into
it. Yeah, you're not super optimized in your build.
Strength. Yeah. Again, not always a problem.
Not always a problem. But definitely, like, if you, like, you're doing character creation, you're like, oh, what are the other people's classes and stuff? So you can, like, choose your character. You're one of those people who likes that. And you based it off knowing this person's going to be a barbarian, and they're not that good of a barbarian. It kind of throws off everything.
Yeah.
So for some people, that can be kind of irritating. And for a certain archetype we're going to get into, cough, tactician, this can be irritating.
Yeah.
When not everyone in the party is, super, super good build.
Alright, how to deal with them as a GM or DM. I think the first one is really obvious. To give them situations where they can work off interesting NPCs and perform every once in a while.
Yeah.
Give the actor places to act.
Yeah. It's the same with party gamer. These things, let them do what they want. It's not your job to hold them back or punish them or anything.
Yeah.
If this is what they like, let them do it. Give them cool situations, interesting NPCs. Let them perform. Also to work their interesting character and their backstory into the campaign. They spent time on these things. They're going to care about this. So do it. It's most fun when you're going to be taking the people who care about it and who have written good backstories and their characters and working that into the story. They're going to care about that and be fulfilled. And it's going to work. Doing this with other kinds of archetypes won't always work so well. As I learned in the first campaign. One of the players it's not a sin, they just were not this kind of player. They were a different kind of player. Kind of, actually the one we're going to kind of talk about next, or the one after that, I'm not really sure. But I tried really hard to work their backstory and stuff into it, and it just wasn't working because they didn't care that much about that. Yeah, and so it didn't work. It just didn't work. Whereas like for you're a pretty high percentage of role player actor. When I worked your backstory and stuff, it worked because you had spent time on it and you cared about it. So yeah,
that's kind of like the strength of what we're doing right now. We're with all these different character and player types. We're just outlining like, what can you do as a GM to help this character, this player, enjoy the time as they're playing? And as a player, what can I be working on? What are my strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
I think you just need to figure out what they are and what you can do to help each other out.
Exactly. So if you're a role player, actor, if that's the archetype you fit into as a player, keep in mind, some people may be a little irritated. Maybe try to spend more time on your build. Try to spend more time on making sure that you're not holding the party back or anything. You just want to be conscious of that because, the reason we even have to do this episode, the reason this is important is because tabletop role-playing games are a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
You're telling a story as a team, right? And so you need to be able to have grace and have mutual respect with one another. You need to sometimes make sacrifices on your end to let other people to please other people. That is kind of a big thing for a GM, Being able to make some changes and to sacrifice some things, sacrifice some of your fun to let the other people have fun. Because you're a team. You're in this together. Everyone should be enjoying themselves.
All right. So the next two we're going to talk about are very similar. With some slight differences. So firstly, the casual. The person who cares not necessarily about the game as much or what exactly the game it is, more just they're there to have a good time with friends,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're there
to have fun.
Yeah. We have someone in our main running campaign who fits into this category. They're great. I think casual players are great because they're almost always enjoying themselves. They're having fun most of the time. They're there. They care about being with their friends. They like the game. That's why they're playing and stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
Casuals, though, typically don't like having to get caught up in the rules, having to do a lot of homework just to be able to understand the game. Things like that, and having to have role-playing deep, dark, interesting characters that need to be super specific
and
or whatever.
Developed and stuff.
Yeah.
Not the cup of tea.
It's not necessarily what they want to do.
Yeah. But once again, their strengths, they're easy to please.
Yep.
As a DM, it's great to have a casual or more in your party group because they're just easy to please. They're fun to be around. They're not usually they're not judging you. They probably think you're a great GM. They probably think you're doing fine. And that's honestly kind of important to have as a GM. Having people who are enjoying themselves and stuff because you're spending lots of time working on this is a good thing, and it helps your morale as a GM.
The weaknesses, though, they typically lack deep investment in the world and their character. If you're just a player who I'm just here to have some fun with friends, your lack of investment can hold back the party, and is I'm not on the same level of investment as the other players. And it can just be a little bit disappointing for the rest of the group if everyone else is super invested in the world and their characters and their personalities and backstories and all that, and then you have this one person who's just having fun and has a backstory that's 2 sentences long. It's like, I woke up and went to the grocery store and joined a band of people.
That's a good example. Even so, there's not much you can do about casual players, in my opinion. As a GM, how to deal with them, nothing really. Let them enjoy themselves. Let them be who they are. This is not a crash course in trying to manipulate your friends and change their personality types. Not at all.
No.
Listen, casuals are usually not detrimental to your game.
No.
It's rare that they will be detrimental to your game and to the fun of other people. Yes, it is true that sometimes they can hold them back because of their lack of investment stuff. But once again, the other players and you as a GM or whatever, you just have to be okay with that. You have to be able to make sacrifices and understand this person just isn't as invested as we are and stuff. And be okay with that.
Yeah.
As a GM, spend your energy and stuff with the story on the people who are caring. Fulfill them in that way. You don't need to spend your time trying to get the casual to role-play and stuff if they don't want to.
Yeah. Don't try and force a player to play in a way that you want them to.
At all. I read this great example when I was doing research for this episode, which was, it's actually honestly a miracle that most gaming groups even, can stay together and stuff and can enjoy themselves because, you can't just grab a group of random people and then, who play instruments. They won't just make a good band. They have different skills and personalities and stuff that clash and stuff. Same with the gaming group. You're spending hours together in, a location, kind of closed out from the rest of the world and stuff. Personalities and stuff will inevitably kind of clash and stuff. finding like a super solid playgroup who works super well together, that's not...
Yeah.
That doesn't... That only happens in Critical Role. That's not, likely. Which is why you just, everyone just has to be okay with understanding other people's player types and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important.
All right. The next one is the lurker, or is like, I was kind of thinking, kind of like the passive person.
Yeah, the audience member.
Mm-hmm. The person who cares mostly about just experiencing the game, experiencing the story and world, and doesn't necessarily feel that they need to get super involved and be super active in it.
Mm-hmm. They almost always stay quiet, out of the way, just take their turns in combat quickly, move along. The things they don't like are the spotlight on them and having to roleplay.
Yeah, I think it's like tied into a lot of people's different, comfort zones, comfort levels. Sure. If they're the character that just likes to experience it, is very passive, then having the spotlight on them and making it feel like they have to do something to be in the spotlight, it can just be really uncomfortable for them.
And this harkens back to what we're about to talk about, which is like how to deal with them. Mm-hmm. Don't put them in an uncomfortable position. Don't force them to roleplay or take center stage. That's mean. Sometimes it is hard, as a GM, if there's kind of a shy person or whatever in the group or whatever, and you're trying to, get them to loosen up and stuff, and, not because, like, you want to embarrass them or whatever, but because you care about them and you want them to be getting into the game and role-playing and stuff. Mm-hmm. Even so, it's better to just kind of gently encourage them through various ways to engage in party discussions, be more active. Don't try to put them in the spotlight and stuff. That's just... They're just going to try to find ways to slip out of it and stuff. It's just not.
It's just going to create conflict within the group.
Yeah, it's just not a good time.
Their strengths are they're often very invested in the game and care about the story. It's like an avid reader of the series, They're invested, they're listening, they're paying attention. Yeah.
They're not going to go write fan fictions or anything. But, they're there. They're listening, they're interested. But they don't care. They're not trying to take initiative. They're not trying to do, take the spotlight. But their weaknesses, of course, are they aren't really active in the game. Yeah. They don't take initiative. They just let themselves kind of be swept by the world. Yes, passive is a great word for this. If you're a writer, if you're a storyteller, you don't want passive characters. Passive characters are fine. You want passive protagonists. You don't want a protagonist who is just swept up by the plot and just the plot leads them everywhere. They need to be able to have agency, motivation, initiative, proactivity, to lead a story. That makes a good protagonist, a good character.
That being said, don't try and force those attributes onto the player who is passive.
Yes, there's a difference between creating a fictional character for your story, right, which is a different vessel of storytelling, than a literal person who is playing a character as a passive character. You don't try to, force them into that kind of thing.
All right. The next one we're going to talk about is the rules lawyer / rules purist.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough one.
Bit of a doozy. These are the people who care about following the written rules to a T. They know the rules, they research, they're going to be the ones who point out, oh, that's wrong, because if you look on page 273 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, you'll find out that...
Yeah.
And we're going to make a little bit of a distinction here between rules lawyers and purists.
Yeah.
Lawyers are the ones who are going to find ways to exploit the rules in their favor.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are going to research, they know the rules, and they're going to find out a way to oh, I can get around this using this, which is in the rules.
Yeah, that's why they're called lawyers.
Meanwhile, the purists are the ones who do the research, care about the rules, know the rules, but aren't necessarily trying to work it all in their favor.
They're just trying to make sure that everyone's following the rules.
Make sure everyone's following the rules to a T.
Is this a percentage of you rules lawyer at all, do you think? I believe it is for me.
I'm not necessarily going to say that I am.
Because I wouldn't say you super are.
I'm more about... I like finding ways that I can exploit the rules and all of that, but I'm not necessarily going to play a character that does that.
Yeah.
It's just something that I find enjoyable.
It's more of a power gamer attribute, actually. Yeah. For me, I am a tried and true game master. That's where I fit in. That's where I feel at home. That's what my, talent and skill set is kind of geared towards. So I've done tons of game mastering. I've not been a player a lot. So it's good that you can actually kind of get the both sides of the coin here, because I can explain, these different player types from what I see as a GM, and then you have actually, you are a player, so you understand these in that regards. When I have been a player, sometimes it's been very hard for me to, for DMs who don't care as much about the rules. They're GMs who play things more loosely. And for someone, a DM, part of your job is to know the rules. And I definitely, for D&D 5th edition, know the rules. I've memorized them. I know them. It allows me to run my game so much more, smoother. But as a player, sometimes it's a little rough for me not to be able to point things out and stuff and be an a-hole about it.
Yeah. Which kind of ties in the strengths and weaknesses of the rules lawyers and purists right there. They know about the game, the laws of the world that they're playing in. They're very knowledgeable about it. Yeah. But they can also, get in the way they get urged to, debate the DM and debate the players, like, oh, that's not exactly what the rules say. If you look here, it can just start interfering with the flow of the game, flow of the story, and flow of combat.
This, though, okay, it's hard. There's like I said, there's a small percentage of me that is rules lore. Rules purist, I should say. I was in a game, this was a long time ago, and the DM, we were playing D&D, and the DM was just, they were new DM and stuff. They cared a lot about, like, their stories and the campaign they were building, but just were not on the rules. They weren't really running combat quickly and stuff. And, it was really hard for me to not, like, try to get the combat track and stuff. And it felt like I don't even think they were really doing all the right rolls and stuff and making, like, attacks and damage and stuff up. And that irritated me because I was like, hey,
there's a reason why those things
There's a reason why they exist. It takes agency and stuff away from us when it's kind of loose and stuff like that. Because the rules are there to facilitate things. So as a GM, that's an important thing. To be able to, like, know the rules and stuff. And not be fudging that kind of stuff up. Because it really irritates these kinds of people. So as a GM, that's one of your, that's a job you kind of have.
Yeah. Ways to deal with them. Let them help you. It's okay to have things pointed out to you, like, oh, I did mess up on that rule there. Thank you for reminding me.
Yep.
Just to take that in stride and go with it and fix your mistakes. It's okay to have mistakes, and it's okay to have them pointed out to you.
Not all GMs, are specialized in different aspects of the job, right? Some are really good at memorizing the rules and stuff. Some are really good at writing good NPCs and stories and whatever. It's okay to have another person who knows the rules a lot.
And will remind you when you break them.
Yeah.
That being said, if it is becoming a distraction or a disruption within the party, it's okay to take them aside privately and talk about it, like, hey, how can we reach an accord here? What do I need to do, and what can we do together so this isn't a problem?
Yeah, for sure. Just making sure that their rules lawyering is not sucking the fun of the group and, getting into debates and stuff. That's not a good thing that should happen. Okay. The realist. What's the realist, Gabe?
They're the people who care about playing a knight with historical realistic armor. And will be like the one like, wait, but that's not realistic. That's not what a broadsword does.
Yeah.
They're the people who care about making a realistic character with understandable, realistic motivations and prefer real-life combat to rolling dice.
Wait. It's like roll initiative, and he just stands up and takes his sword out.
Yep.
All right, DM. All right, DM, stand up. We're gonna do this like real men. Always ask for trial by combat. I didn't see you put that in the outline. That's funny. Yeah, people who care about realists. Let me tell you, there are good tabletop role-playing games for people like this.
Yep.
D&D.
There are war games.
D&D, not good for someone like this. If you are high percentage of a realist, don't play D&D. And just like fantasy and sci-fi role-playing games in general, you will despise it. Yes, because it's not realistic. That's the point. It's fantasy. And definitely D&D, which is just looser and just more chill. Yeah. It's you know, being a realist with that kind of stuff. One thing they don't like is they don't like the rule of cool. They don't like when things, when something cool trumps.
Yeah.
Now, okay, distinction here. The rules lawyer also doesn't like the rule of cool. But that's because it breaks
the actual laws.
The rules. The realist doesn't like it because realistically, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That being said, I think there's a different type of realist where it could be like, what is realistic for this world? And that is entirely different from this, in that it's just a player that wants to keep consistent with the world.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm.
You know, one of their strengths here is they care about details.
Yep.
They're paying attention, but just hopefully they're not paying attention to call, hey, that's not realistic. That quickly ruins the fun for lots of people.
Weaknesses. I have fun in these outlines.
Yeah, it's just like, go ahead and read it out.
They care more about following Newton's third law of thermodynamics and letting the wizard do some cool crap.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good way to summarize it, I think.
Mm-hmm. They're like, how? Sulfur and bat poop doesn't make a fireball. Yeah. So that's a little rough. I have here how to deal with them. Tell them to sometimes shut the hell up and let everyone enjoy themselves. But no, actually, you know, that's kind of true, but you don't want to do it in that way. You want to kind of bring them to the side and stuff.
Of course.
You don't want to embarrass them or anything. But to build realistic and plausible scenarios for them to solve every once in a while in a realistic manner that makes sense and it's logical, they love that. That's what they live for.
Mm-hmm.
Do that for them. Yeah. Get good enough to defeat them when they ask for childlike combat.
If all else fail, it's just work out a bit like when they ask, like, hey, I'm ready. All right, let's be realistic, dude.
You're like, I've been dueling with a real master. I've learned. Okay. Cool. Realist. Shouldn't be too much of a problem if they consistently are like, that's not realistic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It basically is like there's a threshold when it's like, don't play D&D. Play another role-playing game, you know, gritty zombie survival or whatever that cares about being realistic. That's where you fit.
Yeah.
You don't fit in loose D&D 5th edition land, where it's about being awesome and feeling cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the next one? There's a lot of these in the world.
Yeah. The tacticians / wargamers. Cousins of the realist.
Yeah, cousins of the realist. Also, I should say, note here, D&D came from a war game.
Yeah.
D&D is descended from a war game. But here's the thing. D&D is not a war game.
Not anymore.
And when I say D&D, it is really the father of all tabletop role-playing games. So really all tabletop role-playing games do essentially come from wargaming. And there's a reason it's not. It's a different game. Mm-hmm. It's a different kind of game. It's not about the multitudes of troops and the tactics and stuff all the time. It's about the singular troop inside those regiments and their story. And that's what D&D is.
Now, if you are the person who does care about detailed battle plans and strategy and doing the most tactical thing always in combat, then you're probably a tactician / wargamer. And D&D 5 it can be a problem for you.
But also, this is fine.
Yeah.
There is not something inherently wrong with being this. Having detailed plans and strategy and stuff, doing tactical things, awesome. That can be really fulfilling. That can be cool for the other players as well to be like, this player is doing really tactical things. They come up with tactical, strategically sound plans. However, you know, most plans don't. In role-playing games go according to plan, but
yeah, these are the people who talk to the other players and say, like, okay, let's make a plan. You go here, you go here.
Yeah.
You do this, you do this, do this. Do the optimized thing. We make a strategy, a plan, and follow it.
Yeah, it becomes a problem when they take control of the party. Mm-hmm. Instead of like, you know, there's a break in the story and stuff where they're supposed to be planning their next moves or whatever. And like, you know, this is like the tactical things or whatever. Fine. That's your place. That's fine. When you're in battle and you're picking up other people's minis and moving around, no, that becomes problematic for sure.
Yeah. When you're making a fuss, when like other players are doing things that aren't necessarily strategic, but it's what they should be doing, what their character should be doing. And if you're trying to bring that up and make it a problem, then it becomes a disruption.
But once again, you can't totally blame the tactician for this. This is how their mind works and stuff. As other people, you need to understand that these people, they just don't understand why you would do something for story or character's sake and not for tactical, logical sake. These people care about winning. A lot of these people think about role-playing games as a versus the DM kind of scenario as well. I think that's also pretty common with these kinds of people. They're trying to outsmart their opponent, kind of like a chess game, right? Not inherently bad, once again. But when they start controlling the whole party. But you just have to understand, this is where they're coming from. They just can't really understand why the other people would be doing things for story's sake and not for winning and being the bad guy.
Yeah. So they definitely are strong in that they take combat seriously and are very involved in it.
For sure. They're also kind of related to the optimizer in that way. They typically will also build pretty optimized characters and stuff.
And they try to optimize the party, basically.
Yeah, as well. But they don't usually play consistent characters because they do what is the most tactically sound thing. Once again, they may not understand super well why you would do something for a story or character's sake. They always do, they try to do the things that are most logical.
Also, I feel like these are the kind of gamers that are very prone to metagaming. Using knowledge that they shouldn't have, the character shouldn't have.
Yes, for sure.
And building strategies and things around it.
Yeah.
It can become a problem.
Yeah, once again, that can become a problem. So, how to deal with them. As a GM, once again, you want to build cool encounters that allow them to use their tactics to solve and beat. Set up a chess game, let them use their tactics, let it be a challenge, and, they might win or lose, but that's what they want. That's what they're here for.
Yep.
Once again, you have to sometimes make sacrifices. Maybe that's not the kind of game you like. Maybe that's not the kind of encounters you like. But going out of your comfort zone, doing some of these things to be able to let this player have their fun, that's important.
But to also set boundaries in that
Exactly.
Don't try and control the other players. Don't try and tell them what to do. You can make your strategies, but you aren't playing those other characters.
Yeah. Trying to get them to see it from everyone else's perspective as well. Great. Okay. I feel like we're staying on a pretty unbiased ground here.
So far.
All right, what's the next one?
The next one is the storyteller. The Hollywood director of D&D.
Yeah.
The people who care about making an interesting story with twists and crazy moments and epic.
Yeah. They care about the rule of cool. These are the people who are the opposite of the other ones. They care about the rule of cool. So they always make character choices that are that specifically are meant to move the story along and for the story to develop. And so they may do things out of character if it makes for a cinematic or epic moment.
Yeah.
Or act in a way that leads the story in a certain way.
Yeah.
They're kind of related to the actor role player in the sense that they don't care as much about the rules and stuff, not as much as the experience in the story and stuff.
Yeah.
What else can we say about those storytellers?
Just that they will make choices and make moves that are simply just to make something look cool.
Yeah.
These people who will, orchestrate things because they have this image in their head and they want to achieve that image.
Yeah, they don't like when things disrupt the story. No matter what caused them. When things don't go how they wanted the story to go, those are the things they don't like.
When the roles don't work out in the way they want to.
Yeah, they're following a cue like, hey, screw the dice. What, you know what I mean? They're those kinds of people. That's why they like the rule of cool. But, they are good. They're great because they encourage exciting moments. They do care about the story. They are going to gear the story in a way that will be probably cool and epic. Yeah.
But it can also lead them to play inconsistent characters, so they're doing things with the characters that aren't necessarily in character, but it's something that moves the story along or something that causes something cool.
One kind of thing that stands out as a storyteller, like being a martyr, is kind of a big thing. They will put themselves in danger or kind of do suicidal things because it would be an epic and cinematic moment for them to die and become a martyr. Yeah. When other people, like tacticians and stuff, heck no. They don't want to die. That's not what they're about. Once again, The storytellers are fine. It's cool. They care about the story. But when it gets to a point where it disrupts the GM's plans and their story, that can become problematic.
Yeah. So I think the way to deal with them is, have the moments where they can make those cinematic actions and instances and story beats. Put them into moments where they can do that. We're going to have the cool epic things every once in a while, but restrain them a bit, reel them back in when they're doing things that are out of character and just to make something cool.
Yeah. So let them kind of steer the story sometimes as well. But you also want to make sure to set up those boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, the Basher.
These are the people that care about the combat, the fighting, and killing things.
This is related to the casual sometimes. They're there to kill things. They're there to whack an orc.
They have a stick and they want to hit things.
Yeah. They almost always play classes that lets them kill the most things the best.
Mm-hmm.
They're not super optimized in the sense in that sense, but they're gonna play like a fighter because it lets them whack the crap out of orcs with swords.
Mm-hmm.
They also try to solve lots of problems by murdering things.
Yeah, they don't like it when they're forced to deal with encounters and moments where they can't kill it.
They can't hit if they can't hit the problem with a stick. They don't really like that. But they do care about combat.
They do.
And this is not an inherently bad thing. Once again, being a basher is not bad at all. Someone who just is there to kill stuff, loves killing stuff, loves combat.
Yep.
Great, nothing wrong with that.
That's the way they like to play. Those are the things that they enjoy. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But when they only care about the combat and are, disconnected from the rest of the party when it comes to role playing and the story, it can become a problem within the group.
Yeah. And I think we have a note here as well that we should talk about. I think it fits right into where we are. Murder hobos.
Mm-hmm.
When it becomes a problematic for... What is a murder hobo for people who don't know?
Murder hobo is when you're a basher and you just continue going along the road of, I just want to kill stuff, so let me just kill everything. They're the characters who walk into a town, are greeted with loving opening arms from the town mayor and all that, and they're like, ha! I kill him and take his spot.
Yeah, I kill everyone, loot the bodies. These are the
looters.
Loot the bodies. This is if you play Skyrim, these are the people who kill the chicken.
Yep.
The people who walk into the town and kill the chicken just so everyone comes after them so they can kill everybody. Okay, murder hobos are a problem.
Yes.
This is something you need to address as a GM.
They will disrupt your game.
They will possibly destroy your game. Mm-hmm. Unless everyone in the whole gaming group is a murder hobo, and they're just there for the thrill of just killing stuff, whatever, have fun, enjoy yourself. Everyone's having fun. If everyone else is different player type and stuff, and there's one person who's a murder hobo, that's bad news.
And becomes an issue very quickly.
Yeah, it becomes an issue very quickly. You want to pull them aside and talk to them, whatever. If it isn't working, sometimes you're just gonna have to tell them to find another group.
Yep.
Sometimes this is just not the group for them to fit into. It's too disruptive. Yes, maybe they're having fun, but they're ruining the fun of so many other people. And it's just not worth it.
Yeah. That being said, if they are more on the light side, or they do enjoy killing things, but they aren't going to go out of the way to kill everything single thing that their eyes come upon, then that's okay. Give them their moments where they can have fun and hit the orc with the stick.
Yeah, give them their euphoric sensation. Just give them a pack of orcs to just kill every once in a while. Just give them lots of stuff to kill. I think this is a key as well. Big bosses, I don't know if they like that a lot. Hundreds of goblins.
Things? Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like slaughtering goblins? Alright, that sounded a little weird. But also, trying to put them into situations where they can't kill to solve it, that can also be kind of another way to kind of deal with that.
Challenge them a bit, you know?
Challenge them a bit, yeah. Let the other players use their strengths and stuff. Okay, Basher, cool. Next one.
The Specialist. This is the person who finds a way to play a ninja in whatever setting, whatever time, whatever system. They're the person who has an archetype that they have in mind that they love.
Yeah, they're like, I'm playing Cloud from Final Fantasy and all the different RPGs. I don't care what the system is. I don't care what the genre is. I'm going to find a way to play Cloud.
Yep. And you're like, but it's like It's like a post-apocalyptic, like, shooter RPG.
Doesn't matter. I have spiky blonde hair. What are you going to do about it?
And a massive sword. Come on, you can't fight me on this.
Some people are not always, like, literally playing the anime character. Some people are, literally.
Yeah.
But just the archetype.
Yeah. They like it, and they always play it.
Yeah. They don't care about anything else. They just want to be a samurai. Yeah.
Their strengths... They know how to build a ninja in 95 different RPGs. That's helpful sometimes, I'm sure.
It's a skill. Put that on your resume for sure.
But no, they're very consistent with their characters. They know what they are playing.
Yes.
And they know the choices they're going to make. Mm-hmm. And they often stick very closely to that.
The best specialists, the people who are totally positive and are this archetype, are people who totally understand their character. Mm-hmm. They play really good, consistent characters. Because they've played them 100 times before. Mm-hmm. And because they care about this.
Yeah.
They really care about this kind of archetype and stuff.
Often very invested in their character.
Yeah, very invested in their character. But this can become a problem when all they care about is doing the thing that they want to do with their character.
Yeah.
They're not flexible. They don't like venturing out of their comfort zone. All that kind of stuff.
How to deal with them? It's kind of like all the other classes that are like this. Classes. Archetypes. Give them their moments where they can have their cool moments as their ninja, climb the buildings,
and
throw the shurikens.
Yeah, reward them for being a consistent character, for sure.
Give them their moments to shine, where they can play the character they want to and enjoy that, but also force them to differentiate themselves a bit, make their character a bit unique.
Yeah. Challenge them with that, for sure. And obviously, in the problematic side of a specialist, if they're just playing a character that just doesn't make sense in your thing and it's disrupting the game, that's also a thing you have to address.
Yeah.
Okay, this final one. So,
a contentious point.
A little bit of a contentious point. Yeah. Not even super sure if this is a super, archetype as much as the other ones. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a part of some other archetypes. You can have this kind of element. It's the PvPer. They care. Okay, well, it really depends. It's kind of a spectrum. Me and Gabe talked a lot about this one. On can it be a positive thing? Is it always a negative thing? How this works? So go ahead and break down the PvPer real quick.
I think the important thing here is to figure out how you define what the PvPer is.
Yeah.
My definition is that they're just the characters, the players who want to have their characters fight the other characters. They want to see who's strongest. They find that really fun, find a lot of enjoyment in fighting the other characters, the rivalries that forms, and just the battles itself.
Yeah. Once again, on the positive side of PvPer, create interesting rivalries between the things, cool character moments and stuff. Here's the thing. Being a good, a positive having attributes of PvPer means that PvPing, is fine or whatever, at the appropriate time in the appropriate place. The negative side of PvP, typically this is what you'll see more often. This is much easier, figure out who is a PvPer in these instances. Someone who is being disruptive. They're trying to force the other PCs to fight with them. They go out of the way to hit the other PCs, to ruin their plans and stuff. Be a nuisance. Oh man, is it rough. We did kind of have a player back in our old campaign. They weren't in there for very long, but they kind of had these tendencies. They did because it was funny, or it was just disruptive. It's a negative thing. It is disruptive to the party. Quickly irritates the rest of the players, for sure. You're supposed to be a team. It's very irritating when someone is trying to whack you and mess up what you're trying to do for the sake of it.
So if you're someone who's sitting here oh, but I like fighting the other PCs, I think it's just important to keep in mind how much are you trying to do it. What situations are you trying to do it? Are you being moderate? Are you being considerate of the other players? And thinking, when is it appropriate for me to figure out who is the strongest?
Yeah.
If it's your main objective in every session to figure out who is the strongest, to fight all the other characters, that's going to cause problems no matter what. Very quickly, and it gets very annoying.
Yeah, there's a time and place for a one-shot or whatever, where everyone plays a cool 20th level character, and you all fight against each other and stuff. Awesome. That's when you can unleash. That's when you care about fighting your friends or whatever. Like, that's cool. Unleash that. But it can be very disruptive if they're just there to be a nuisance or just because they don't care. They're just trying to do it to be funny and stuff.
Yeah.
Quickly ruins the game. The people who are trying to take the game seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last archetype we have. Not a lot of people really talk about that one. Because also it's usually connected to one of the other ones. Usually a murder hobo might have PvP, kind of be a PvPer. Or like a storyteller actor or whatever might also kind of be a PvPer because like that's their character and stuff.
As I'm looking back over at all these archetypes, I think it's just important for everyone to remember that there's a spectrum, and every player is somewhere along a spectrum. They're always...
Sorry, it's not funny.
Most people are a mix of 2 or more of these archetypes. Most people aren't 100% any of them.
Mm-hmm. Like personality tests and stuff.
Yeah,
like you are a
course.
blank. Usually you're not totally pigeonholed into that. Just for curiosity's sake, what would you say are like kind of your main ones?
I think I am mainly an optimizer, role player, and I don't know. I touch in a lot of the other things. Like I enjoy
dip your toes in a lot of other ones. What?
I enjoy the strategy.
Yeah.
I really care about the rules. I like hitting things. But I think mainly I'm an optimizer and a role player.
For me, once again, I don't have a ton of experience being a player. I'm mostly a GM. But I would say optimizer just because I care about the rules. And at the same time, also rules lawyer in that regard. I do care about the rules. I'm weird in the sense that I like using the rules as a vessel of problem solving. It's fulfilling and satisfying to be able to solve problems while still within this structure and with these limitations. That's fulfilling. On the same, at the same time, I'm a big role player actor, character stuff, and that will sometimes trump the rules and things for a cool character moment or whatever. Obviously, super big storyteller tendencies. I am a GM. I am a storyteller. That's kind of the point of being a GM. So also storyteller tendencies. Basher, not at all. Don't care about skinning stuff. Specialist, literally the opposite. I always want to play a different... You as well. I always want to play a different, unique character I've never seen before. I've never tried before. Putting myself into a different mindset. Yeah. I'm
really interested because I'm going to be starting a campaign here in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm really interested to see your character and how you're going to be playing.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit...
one thing, though, that I found is, before campaigns, I really get into it. I write a big backstory. I do tons of research. Literally, for this character, for this campaign, Gabe was like, hey, don't need to go too crazy. This light stuff, here's the information you need to have in your backstory. I was like, okay, cool. It took me 7 hours. That's not, I didn't hate it. I loved it. I did all this kind of research and stuff. And you can tell from my backstory, there's all these, specific nouns and stuff from all these different places and stuff that I researched. But it is a little hard for me, even though I have this cool backstory and stuff, I don't know my character until I actually play them. I think that's something for you as well.
Yeah.
I can detail the character's backstory as much as I want, but they might be a little different kind of a character when I start playing them.
Yeah, I have this problem where I don't like to write long backstories right out the gate, just because I don't want to commit to playing a character that I don't like.
Yeah.
And I don't get a good feel on it until I'm several sessions in, playing the character, figure out how I fit into the party, what my personality is.
It's
by role-playing.
It's kind of like the difference between outliners and discovery writers. If you're someone who writes whatever you're writing, screenwriting or books or whatever, this is kind of a thing, right? Are you someone who likes plotting out the whole book and following to this structure, or just writing and seeing where it takes you and discovering the story as you write it? You're much more someone who likes to. You don't know who your character is until you play them, until you explore them. You like to develop them as you go along. Whereas me, I'm much more of a plotter person. I like to figure out my character, have a kind of a concept of their arc and stuff. Establish their flaws and things at the beginning that they can overcome. This is kind of getting off to a totally different topic, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these are the character archetypes. Also, other stuff we talked about.
Shoot back over them really quickly here.
Yes.
So first we talked about the power gamer and optimizer, the people who care about feeling powerful. Then the role players and actors who care about playing a consistent and realistic character with accents, performing, and all of that. And you have the casuals and lurkers who are more there to just have a fun time with friends and might not necessarily be as active in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the rules lawyers and purists, the people who care about the rules and following them to a T and figuring out how they can use them. And the realist, who cares about playing a realistic character with likewise game rules and setting. You know, the knights in armor with historical accurate weapons.
Yeah, they usually push for realistic encumbrance rules. Next is the tactician, the wargamer, people who, care about the detailed battle plans and the strategy and the tactical things. The storyteller, someone who cares most about it being a good, fulfilling, satisfying story with epic moments. The basher, love killing stuff. Specialist, love playing a ninja. And then PvPer, to a lesser extent, someone who I don't say likes fighting the other players, because that's not always what it is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't find enough challenge or whatever with other monsters or whatever. They like to test their mettle against the other kind of PCs.
I think a good way of describing the idea of a PvPer is it's not just necessarily about combat. It's more about comparing yourself to the other characters and figuring out who's the strongest.
Yeah. Okay, so those are all the tabletop role-playing game archetypes that we came up with, that we've kind of detailed. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, whether you're a player or GM, you've learned something from this episode.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
Just keep in mind what we were talking about with your strengths and weaknesses, and work on figuring out how you can build your strengths and cover over your weaknesses and progress as a character. And if you're a GM, figuring out how to accommodate that player and figuring out how to deal with the problems that arise with different archetypes.
Yeah, and I think sometimes this may lead to just having a big gaming group discussion. Just being able to talk to each other about, hey, if everyone kind of comes out and is like, hey, this is kind of the way I play, this is kind of the way I see the game, everyone can understand that. They can explain how they see the game. It'll make everyone so much more, I don't know what I'm looking for, lenient to the other players and not get pissed at them or anything because they play differently.
It's like dating. Having realistic expectations is a really great place to start.
Yes, for sure. And also as a DM or GM, whatever, you know your gaming group better than we do. You have to figure out. Sometimes you may have to pull aside disruptive players, talk to them and stuff. Mm-hmm. Deal with that as well. All right. Is there anything else you want to say? About these archetypes before we go to closing?
Don't be a murder hobo?
Don't be a murder hobo. Don't be disruptive. But enjoy yourself. Okay, that brings us to the end of today's episode. This was a little different,
Yeah.
More informative and stuff, but I think
talk about a lot of things here. There's a lot of content to cover here, but I think it's important that we talk about this. It's an important thing to deal with, and I'm glad we got through that.
Yeah, because there's this other side of kind of role-playing games and stuff that you do have to deal with, which is the gaming group and the different ways people play. It's not all about we don't just want to talk about playing a ranger and what this is all about and all this kind of stuff, because I think this is a pretty big part of having a gaming group and having a game.
Yeah, interpersonal dynamics within the party with the GM are very important to how the game runs, and it's just another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure. If you have any questions or concerns or anything about this episode or anything else, do you have a suggestion on another episode you want us to do, go ahead and follow us, DM us on Instagram at D20_Academy. And once again, tell your friends if they would be kind of into this kind of thing. Gabe, what is next week's episode?
Next week's episode is going to be our next world building segment where we're going to talk about the history of the world and how to build that up.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. A lot of fat juicy stuff to cover with history. I really liked the first world building one we did.
Yep.
I'm really excited to continue on the world building series. But look out for that one next week. That one's going to be a lot of fun.
Gonna be a doozy.
Yeah, but other than that, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this has helped you.
Yep.
Yeah, and don't be a murder hobo.
Don't be a murder hobo.
Should we end every episode with that? Hey, and also, don't be a murder hobo.
And play a mystic.